Hello and welcome everyone to this video where I felt I needed to do an update to my previous video, which was when I showed a formula to calculate your return on investment if you're buying Ethereum and taking advantage of the low price ratio. So, for this video, is Ethereum severely undervalued? This is a hot topic and it ties in nicely with what I've been saying over the last few weeks and a few of the videos that I've made. So let's have a look. Now, recently, a research firm called, a venture capital firm called Placeholder suggested in a report that Ethereum is actually, in fact, severely undervalued, especially when compared to other smart contract platforms. Now, they're saying that EOS, for example, is massively overvalued. They've created a formula called the network value to token value ratio, okay? Looking at the developments on the network and then comparing all of that good stuff to the price of the token. Remember, Ethereum is the network. Ether is actually the token. And they found that Ether was severely undervalued due to all the great stuff happening on the Ethereum network. What does this mean? It does mean that this could be a fantastic opportunity to get into Ethereum right now. It also means that as a smart contract platform, all the good stuff we've seen, the announcements, the partnerships. Remember, Microsoft invited Vitalik to build. Ernst & Young, EY, did a bit of work on the Ethereum blockchain to allow corporations to deploy smart contracts onto the Ethereum blockchain. All of that is good for the network. It shows us that this is something big. This whole smart contract thing is actually going somewhere, and that is fantastic news. Now, coming back to the investment opportunity, even if you don't believe that Ethereum could be a good investment, I've stated in my previous videos that it may still be a good opportunity to buy Ethereum now, and as the Ethereum-Bitcoin ratio improves, swap it out for Bitcoin. Okay, I'll cover that in a second. So effectively, there's two options. If you are dollar cost averaging, take a portion of your funds and buy Ethereum for purposes of holding Ethereum. If you look at all the great stuff happening on the network developments. And if you want Bitcoin and you feel that at $10,000 it goes up and down every day, it's already a little bit too high, you wish you bought at 6,000, you wish you bought at 3,000, you can take advantage of the Ethereum-Bitcoin ratio. All these analysts are saying now that Ethereum is severely undervalued. That means not just in dollar terms, but in Bitcoin terms as well, the value of the Ether token when compared to Bitcoin. Now, before I go any further and talk equations, which might be the boring bit, what could be a spanner in the works? What could prevent Ethereum from going up in value? And is there something we don't know? So it's always good to do your research if you are investing. There's two things that stand out for me. One is the supply cap. The Ether in supply recently crossed over 100 million. As you know, Bitcoin, there's only 21 million that will ever be circulated, 21 million Bitcoin, and a few million of those have been lost. And recently, Vitalik made some statements saying that they're going to have to look at this. And the quicker, in my opinion, they give us some clarity on what the supply cap of Ethereum would be, that would be really good for the confidence in the value of the token. But remember, Vitalik wanted to build the Internet 2.0. He may not be interested in having a token with a very high value. Some people say that in order for Ethereum to function as a network, the value of the Ether token does have to be quite high because it has to cost something to deploy an asset to the network, to not overcrowd the network. The gas, so to speak, has to come at a certain cost. Now that leads me to the second point I want to make, which is scaling. Ethereum 2.0 is around the corner. We've heard that for a long time, but we're closer than ever. We're going to see probably sharding and a move to proof of stake. Will it be positive for Ethereum, especially the price of the Ether token, or will it be negative? We don't know. It could be positive overall, given the confidence, but you never know how the markets may react. And we're speculating right now, but it could see a short-term drop in a value. It could really plunge, right, in both dollar prices and value relative to Bitcoin. So I must warn you that there are a few rocky things coming. If you invest in Ethereum, that could cause a further drop in price, and that may be temporary. That may not be a long-term issue. However, the opportunity, and I'll say, if you haven't watched my previous videos, I'll go through the entire thing again. The ratio, Ethereum to Bitcoin, is at one of the lowest values it's been, especially when you compare to the all-time high. This is a tremendous opportunity. All that has to happen, for example, the ratio is currently at 0.02. If you invest in Ethereum and the ratio goes to 0.04 and you swap that out for Bitcoin, you're effectively getting the Bitcoin at half the price as at the time of you purchasing Ethereum. Okay? I've created an equation for this, and I call it Thavash's equation for no other reason as it sounds cool to me, right? The equation is very simple. Take the Ethereum price and divide it by the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio at the time of buying, and you should get the Bitcoin price at the time of buying. That's an equation. It should add up. And then you can use the equation to then speculate. Put in, on the left-hand side at the bottom, the Ethereum ratio that you think it could get to. Remember, it was over 0.1, reaching as high as 0.12, depending on which chart you look at. It's currently, at the time of recording, sitting at 0.02. And you will then see the effective Bitcoin price if you swap out that Ethereum for Bitcoin when it reaches that ratio. So this is how you can still get Bitcoin cheaper than what it is today. To complete the example, if Bitcoin is $10,000 today and the Ethereum ratio is 0.02, it just has to go to 0.04. And how much Ethereum I've bought, I swap that out for Bitcoin, and that value of Bitcoin, that amount of Bitcoin, I've effectively gotten for a value, if it goes to 0.04, of half of $5,000. Even if you're watching this video and the Ethereum ratio to Bitcoin has gone up, it's gone up to 0.03. Then, to get that half-price Bitcoin, you just need the Ethereum ratio to then climb to 0.06. Not very high compared to what it has done in the past. Okay? So I call this Thavash's ratio. I'll sketch it out. Look in the comment section, the info section underneath this video, and I'll put it all there. But now, while a few weeks ago, to wrap up this video, I said that you can play that ratio, the question mark is, what's going to happen to that ratio? Is it actually normal? Who says that that ratio is going to improve? Now, I said that I'm not confirming that it's definitely going to happen, but there were many reasons given the development on the Ethereum network to speculate that it could happen. And now we're seeing many analysts say, and I'll post some links, many analysts are saying that Ethereum could be severely undervalued. And I will say to you, when you hear a statement like that, don't think about it just in dollar terms. Think about it severely undervalued in terms of Bitcoin, its price to Bitcoin. And that's what we're interested in. So I hope this video made sense to you. Have a look at my equation. And I know I was supposed to do a video on altcoins next. But hey, talking about Ethereum and Bitcoin is a lot more exciting. We'll get to that video. I'm going to tell you about my altcoin exit strategy. So look out for the next video.